Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
You are watching Leicester Till I Die TV with Chris and Chumps. YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Pinterest. All you need for everything Leicester City FC. It's Leicester Till I Die TV.
Strap yourself in,
because we're set up, switched on, and ready to go.
Hi everybody, Jerry Taggart here. Now be sure to watch Chris and Leicester Till I Die TV by subscribing on YouTube and following them on social media for all the latest Leicester City news and information. Come on you foxes!
Good evening, fellow Fox fans. How the devil are we? It's Friday night, and that can only mean one thing. I think it's the Opposition View show. We've got so many games, so many shows. If it's Tuesday, it must be Belgium sort of thing at the moment. Good evening. How are you? We are back with league action this weekend. A small matter of a short journey across the Midlands, and we've got to play this lot. It is Leicester against Villa, and you are watching Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch us live on YouTube at Leicester Till I Die TV. Give us a subscribe. Facebook is Leicester Till I Die the group, and Twitter / Periscope is at Leicester TID. And if you want to listen to this on catch up about half an hour after the show finishes, you can catch us on your favourite podcast platform as Leicester Till I Die with Apple iTunes, Spotify, Anchor and Google, to name but four. And like I say, if you are watching on YouTube, please press that subscribe button and give us a follow. Europe's been and gone. We are back, like I say, with a Premier League action this weekend. And I'm going to welcome in our guest this evening. He's got to be fine. He's got to be good. He's called Chris after all. From the Villa Together podcast, we're going to welcome Chris. Good evening, Chris.
Good evening, Chris. How you doing?
Not so bad, not so bad. Fine man with a name like that. What can I say?
All good, all good.
Hey, you've got a knack here of scoring late goals against us.
Well, yeah, obviously the late goal last season in the Carabao Cup, and then the late goal this season at your place from Ross Barkley in the league. So I'd like to say long may it continue, but I'd rather score an earlier goal, take the the stresses off where it gets to the end of the game, and I'm disappointed that we haven't won. So yeah.
I mean, with our history as well, because of course we got one against Brighton in the 94th minute. This could be 0-0 up until about 92 minutes, and then end up 2-2.
Well, exactly. You never know. I mean, it would be good. It'd make for an interesting game, wouldn't it? Which is nice. But obviously, we never get it. But as football fans, we always want a nice, comfortable game that's entertaining at the same time for us, for the right reasons. But we'll see.
It is. Do you see this as? And I mean, there's not many sort of Midlands clubs in there at the in the Premier League at the moment. Do you see this as a sort of derby at all, or is it just we just happen to be in the Midlands with you?
Yeah, I wouldn't class it as a derby. I mean, for us, obviously, it's Birmingham's the main one because obviously two clubs from Birmingham. But I think Wolves probably isn't a derby, but it's more of a derby than Leicester. Villa, Leicester. Same for West Brom as well. So if we played West Brom again, that's a bit more of a derby. I think for me personally, I see Wolves and West Brom as more of a derby than some of the other games, because where I live, there's a lot of Wolves fans, a lot of West Brom fans. But it's a rivalry with West Brom and Wolves. I think with Leicester, it's probably a bit of a rivalry there, just because it's, as it has been over the years, we've played a lot of each other. But in terms of local rivalry, it's just two Midlands clubs, really.
Yeah. You must be so happy with your season this season. I mean, it's almost Leicester-esque, isn't it? Going from just surviving to having a pretty decent season. And I mean, unless you absolutely implode, you should be safe.
Yeah, exactly. I think the implosion would have to be ridiculous. As you're saying there, 8th. So last season we finished on 35 points. Obviously, we bettered that with 16 games to go. I think if I'm honest, I mean, you look at the guys in the bottom. There's potential that the points to stay up could be lower than it was last season. It has been good. I think there probably is a bit of frustration, maybe disappointment in terms of that. We obviously we beat you guys earlier in the season. We've done the double over Arsenal. We smashed Liverpool. We've had a few decent results along the way. But then there has been games, and no disrespect to these teams, we've lost against Southampton, lost against West Ham, got battered by Leeds. And it's just kind of trying to find that balance. One week you go and completely outplay Arsenal, completely outplay Liverpool, but then lose to Southampton. It's kind of one of them. It's a bit odd, and you kind of think, when you look at the fixtures, I kind of do this. I think a lot of fans do it as well. You'll look at the fixtures and you'll look to see where you're going to get the points from. Yeah. And you kind of, those games against, Liverpool, Arsenal, Leicester as well, possibly, Manchester United, Man City, you'll look at that and think, not sure about that one. Be great to get a point, 3 points would be fantastic. Then you look at, the Southamptons, West Hams and teams like that, and you kind of, that's where you would expect to get your points from. So it's been a bit of frustration that sometimes the games, Brighton as well, we lost against Brighton at home, drew against them at the weekend. Burnley, we've only got a point against Burnley out of 2 games this season. So there's that frustration there that even though we're 8th in the league, we've got 2 games in hand as well. I think we're 4 points behind Liverpool. But that 4 points behind Liverpool, who are 6th. I think we're 10 points behind Manchester United and Leicester with 2 games in hand. So, we could kind of winning a couple of games on the bounce, a couple of games in hand could get there. So there's that frustration. But, if you take a step back and you look at it in perspective, we stayed up on the last day last season by 1 point. And I think, majority of Villa fans, realistically, the reach, the top for us this season that people would have expected, or people that would have been predicting, would have been, maybe 10th place. Yeah. So to be in 8th at the moment, and to have, we've kind of come through January not particularly playing too well, and we're still around 8th, we're still in, touching distance of the top 6. There is that feeling that really, when you take a look back and think, aside of some of the results that maybe have gone, where we've not performed this season where you would have expected to, aside from that, you take a look back, this season, realistically, I think for me, anything better than 17th would have been great. So to be 8th at the moment, as you say, delighted as a Villa fan.
It's very much a consolidation year for you, isn't it? It's. Can you say good evening to Stephen Collins? He wants to know if you're any relation to Doug at all.
Years ago, I used to refer to him as Uncle Doug. I've never met him, and as far as I'm aware, we're not related. But years ago, I used to say to people at school, "Oh yeah, Doug Ellis, Uncle Doug," but no relation. But fun enough, back in the day, 2 of the first Villa kits I had printed, I had Dwight York on the back, I had Mark Bosnich on the back. Within 6 to 12 months, both of them left the club. So I kind of
typical.
It was a case of, right, okay, I'm not going to get my shirt printed again because that happened. So my mum said, "Well, get your name on the back of it." So I was like, okay, that's fine. So I had Villa top with Ellis 9 on the back. Great. Yeah. And I remember I went to Villa Park, and this must have been late 90s, possibly early 2000s. And this was around the time when people were disgruntled with the ownership and they wanted the chairman out. And I remember walking, I think I was walking from past the Trinity towards the North Stand, and there was a congregation of disgruntled Villa fans that all had signs that were to get the chairman out. And obviously I had this top on with my surname on the back, thinking, bloody hell, they want Ellis out, and I'm just about to walk past them. So, I had to make sure my dad stood by me or something. So it was like, I couldn't win with getting shirts printed. So, and then
you just don't do it anymore.
Well, the last time I did it was I got my youngest son. I bought him his first Villa top last year. Right. And so I said, I'll get the same as you. So we both got the same. And I said, who's your favourite player? And being a young Villa fan, his favourite player is Jack Grealish. So we got exactly the same top, obviously different sizes. Yeah. Both with Jack Grealish on the back. But then it came to the point when I thought, God, we're going down. If we get relegated, Jack Grealish is gone. So the curse of the shirt was going to come around again. But no, luckily he's still with us.
Do the club sort of ring you at the start of the season and ask you who you're going to have on the back, so they know who they might have to sell during the season?
They should do. I remember we were when we were in there looking at what shirts to get. They've got a sign on the front of the desk that says in the club shop that says what player, what number, and you kind of at the start of each season they're in a bit of limbo as to not only what players going to be there, but what numbers they're going to wear, and even the players that are there now who possibly aren't going to leave, whether their number's going to change. So there was a lot of people there who were kind of like, is Jack going to stay? If he stays, is he going to still be number 10? And there's a lot of stuff like that. So, but I don't think I'll do it again, just because it's the stresses of having a top that with a player on that may break my heart or my son's heart or something. So I'll leave it in the future.
You don't need the extra stress, do you?
No.
I mean, talking of Doug Ellis, I mean, you can't sort of think about Villa. And I guess I know a bit about Villa, I mean, we're sort of tied in with the history. I mean, we've got the Brian Little situation when he left us, said he wasn't going to leave us and then came to you, which I kind of got because that was his club. Julian Joachim went to you, obviously, followed Brian there. But you can't think of Villa without thinking of Doug Ellis, for those of us of a certain age. How is he remembered by the fans?
I think fondly by most, to be honest, because even though I say towards the end of his reign, there was always question marks about Doug Ellis digging his hands in his pockets and kind of coughing up for big signings and stuff like that. And there were a few, in all fairness, but I think a lot of people mainly think back to what he did in his early days and the impact it had in kind of saving the club and the investments he made then. And in all fairness, even after he left the club, he left his role as chairman and he came and he was, I think the position was president emeritus or something. And he used to come he was there every week at Villa Park. And obviously towards the end of his, of his life, he was coming despite being so frail. So I think people kind of remember that as well. They remember, he was a Villa fan and he loved the club and he came no matter what. So we remember that, to be honest. Obviously, there's no hatred towards him. I think in all fairness, it's just that there are those memories when you think, what could have been, if Doug Ellis did do what he could have done, then maybe. But at the end of the day, at least he ran us fairly well. And you kind of thought at the time when he sold the club to Randy Lerner, it seemed like it had gone to the right people, but at least we've got the right owners now, so all is well.
It's a different type of owner now, isn't it? That runs the club. I always think of Doug Ellis as like the old style owner. Like you say, a fan that he's lived locally, he's had local businesses, and he's come up. And now it's different times now, isn't it? Different times. Yeah,
I think what's changed is what. Years ago, you could it was a millionaire's game, wasn't it? Millionaires could own a football club and could run a football club. Realistically, now it has to, especially at the top of the game, certainly the Premier League, probably the Championship as well. You've got to be a billionaire owner to do it. So it's certainly changed that, that side of things.
Exactly. Well, looking forward, we've got the match on Sunday.
Yep.
At Villa Park, 2:00 on Sky Sports, if you have that platform, or you can listen to it free on LCFC radio. Injuries. What are you like? I mean, we've got a few injuries at the back, and I was just looking here earlier. Matty Cash I believe, might be out, but El Mahandi might be back.
Yeah. So obviously, last season, right back wasn't a major issue, but there was a lot of changing. So start of last season, we brought in Frederick Gilbert from France, and he had an okay season. Obviously El Mohammadi was there anyway, and they kind of went between the two of them. El Mohammadi got us up. He's trustworthy, but he doesn't really excel at anything, in all fairness. Matty Cash came in. I think there's a few eyebrows raised because, coming from a championship, and it was a decent amount of money, but he's been fantastic this season. I think in terms of interceptions and tackles, he ranks towards the top of the league. He's up there with the likes of Ndidi and people like that. He's fantastic, and he almost does everything right. So to have him injured, it's disappointing, but you're replacing him with a guy who is the captain of the Egyptian national team. Okay, he's in his 30s, he's getting on a bit, but he's a player that doesn't often, he hasn't really let us down over the years. So it should be all right. But yeah, I think that's the main injury, Matty Cash. I think Courtney Hawes is out still, but he's our third choice centre half. So it's not a major issue. Wesley, one of our centre forwards, who was our record signing last season, he's still out injured. Long-term injury. He's been out since New Year's Day 2020. So that's long-term. Apart from that, should be fine everywhere else, unless something happens over the next 24 hours or so. It's
been an unbelievable season for all the teams for injuries. We always used to say, like, these big, these teams with money, and how can they not have enough players to cover, and the screaming because they've got all these injuries. I mean, at the start, we had as many out as we could have put a full team out with our injuries, but it's every single club. And I think that's a lot to do with the fact that it is this season. There's so many games and there was so little time between the seasons that players are suffering a lot more. I mean, we've got at the back, we've got Fofana out. There's just James Justin is out. It could be a very high scoring game with the defences we've got.
Yeah, I think with Leicester, I was speaking to someone about it earlier. I said, in terms of injuries this season, if you think of a Leicester City player, then they've probably been injured. To be fair, everyone has been injured for Leicester this season, which I suppose credit to Leicester for being third in the league. I referred to it as joint second earlier because when Man United were second earlier in the season, they weren't second; they were joint top. So Leicester are joint second at the moment.
I like you. Somebody's just put here rumours on Twitter saying Grealish is injured. I haven't seen those.
Yeah, I've read them. I don't know if it's. I think what it's come from is what tends to happen is that I'm sure every club does it, but Villa Twitter will post pictures of the players training every couple of days, obviously just before games as well. And what people have done is looked at the training photos and seen that Jack Grealish isn't there, which obviously raises alarm bells because he's our captain, he's our best player, all that kind of stuff. Epitomises the club. But at the same time, I think there was the likes of Trezeguet, Anwar El Ghazi, a couple of others weren't actually shown on the pictures and training. So whether it is just pure speculation from that, I don't know, but that's what I think it is. If he is injured, then it's despite us being better this season without Jack Grealish, it changes things massively because not only is he our best player, but I think he's arguably at the moment one of the top 5, maybe top 3 players in the league at the moment. So it's obviously would be massive for us. I mean, we like to pull Jack Grealish to bits. Of course we do. We're opposition fans. He's we always care. He's Tom Daly's twin. He goes down that easily. But him and Maddison, I mean, taking that rivalry aside, hats off. You've got to admire him as a player. And I'm not saying single-handedly he kept you up, but he is an amazing player. And there's a lot of rivalry between him and Maddison. I believe they're good friends off the pitch as well. Yeah. But, they're going for the same position with England, so that could be really interesting. Yeah, possibly. I think it's one of them that's kind of just been thrown around for a while now, isn't it? It was Grealish or Maddison, Grealish or Maddison. Now it kind of it's Grealish, Maddison, Mount, and Foden as well. People looking at that. I think that I'm a big fan of James Maddison. He's a good player. He's always been a good player. He was at Coventry, so seen bits of him, Aberdeen, stuff like that. Good player. Was really good at just before he went to Leicester when he played for Norwich. We were in a championship at the time, so we saw him firsthand. I think they're different players though. Maddison and Grealish, both top players though. But yeah, they're good friends. So it'd be nice to see that kind of that friendly rivalry on the pitch.
Yeah. I was just looking before at the form table, how it's been going recently. I mean, we're actually sat in 6th in the form table. Brighton and Leeds actually above us, which is a little bit worrying. You're down there in 10th, but you've had you've not had such a bad run. I mean, bringing it up here, I mean, you struggled against Brighton, but you came away with a point. But as I think it was Lawrenson says on the BBC, last season that's a game you would have lost.
Possibly, yeah. I think you're probably right. I think certainly when you look at it in isolation. Emi Martinez, obviously, we signed him in the summer. He's a top goalkeeper, and he made some great saves against Brighton. Defensively as well, we've got one of the best. I think at one point we had the second best defense in the league, behind Man City, possibly. I think it was. So obviously defensively we've improved. So I think those things, the key area in terms of your back five, so to speak, is much stronger now than it was last season. So I suppose coming up against Brighton, especially away as well, you kind of think, well, maybe because we're a bit stronger, maybe last season we might have lost that. We were poor. It's probably the worst that Villa fans have seen us play for a long time. Certainly this season we were poor. So it wasn't great. It was a point gained, I think, at the end of the day. I think if I don't think anyone would have been surprised if we ended up losing that game 1 or 2-0. So it's a point gained. Obviously, in the last 5 or 6, there's the West Ham defeat, which that was a poor performance as well. To be honest, we showed glimpses here and there. That was poor, and then there was the Burnley game, which was 3-2 defeat. That was frustrating because the first half against Burnley was probably, certainly this year, was some of the best football that we've played. We had a great first half. Went in 1-0 up. Could have been 2 or 3. Second half starts, before you know it, it's 1-1. Then within 10 minutes we're 2-1 up, and then we end up losing the game 3-2. And it's frustrating that performance was possibly one that you could have seen us do fairly often last season. That hasn't been too common this year. But like I said, I think we've had a bit of an indifferent January. There was the COVID outbreak. We had 14 players and staff members diagnosed with COVID-19. So obviously that makes a difference. So yeah.
And somebody was just putting up on there, Martinez out due to wrist injury again. Seems to know more than we do about. News to me. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But again, I mean, that would be a massive blow. But I suppose if it does happen, our second choice goalkeeper is Tom Heaton, who's not bad himself.
Exactly. He's a good goalkeeper. I think he could realistically get himself within the 10 teams in the Premier League. He's a good goalkeeper. So yeah.
I think the thing that sticks out for me is you only managed to put 1 past Southampton. I mean, come on, if you don't put 9 past Southampton, you failed, haven't you?
Yeah, it was. I mean, to be fair, that was a game that we probably we got lucky with. There was a couple of contentious VAR decisions that went in our favour. So it was good to get a win. I think, in all fairness, there's been games where we'd it's been the opposite for us, where we've played well, but we'd ended up losing the game and having VAR decisions go against us. So it was that was certainly a bit of a lucky win, but I'll take that one.
I think along with VAR, consistency, it's not easy for me to say, consistency, once you get past Man City, who are on this amazing run at the moment, and their season didn't start brilliantly, but they are on that good run now, consistency seems to be hard for the other teams to sort of get their head around. I mean, you know, we're as likely to go to Man City and beat them as we are to go to Fulham and lose to them this season. It's really weird. And, you know, sometimes, I mean, you know, we played Liverpool for 75 minutes. They were all over us, and then they just fell to bits. But it is, nobody seems to be, say, apart from Man City, nobody seems to be putting a string of runs together.
Yeah, it's an odd one. I think, you know, is the big thing because of the fans not being allowed in grounds.
Yeah,
there's possibly that. I think, you know, up until however many weeks ago it was, Liverpool had gone 61 games or whatever unbeaten at Anfield, and then they lost 3 on the bounce. Yeah, is that because they're in a bit of a rut, or is that because of the fans? Probably a bit of both, to be fair. But yeah, it's certainly been an interesting season. Like you say, you know, we beat Liverpool 7-2. It was a game that I
know. Well, I don't know where that came from. I was like, respect, and even though it was Villa, I'm going like, respect to you guys, you know.
Well, I think the thing is, I mean, most Villa fans probably agree. We were 4-1 up at one point, and most of us were thinking we could still throw this away. We might still end up losing this 5-4, and then eventually, when you know the final whistle went, we could finally relax and think, "Wow, what the hell have we done here?" But there's been a few of those results around that, you know, it just happens. Like you say, you could go and get a result against Man City. You could go to Fulham and lose. It's an odd season, but I suppose it makes it more exciting, doesn't it? You don't really want to see. You know, all the teams at the top beating everyone below them, left, right, and centre, which has happened in the past. But we'll see.
Ends up a bit like Scotland, then, doesn't it? You know,
exactly. Yeah.
I want to just talk very quickly about 2 players. One of them, because you did the answer the questions for us on the written version of the show, Opposition View, which is available on the website leicestertillidie.com. This guy that popped up in the 91st minute, Ross Barkley.
Yep.
Not overly happy with him, but he's a signing, and it was one of the players I wouldn't have minded if we'd got him in the summer, to be honest with you. But he's come to you with probably, I don't know, you tell me, is he as good as his reputation would have suggested?
I mean, technically, I don't think anyone can really deny that technically he's a very, very good footballer. He's got a lot of talent. Always been able to see that at Everton, at Chelsea, even for England as well. There's something there, whether it's, you know, I don't necessarily bad attitude, but I think attitude is part of it in terms of the attitude and his application in terms of work rate. I think Everton fans and Chelsea fans both kind of said when we signed him, you'll see flashes of brilliance, as I mean we saw against Liverpool, saw against you guys as well. But also, you know, there'll be times when he's kind of anonymous and drifts in and out of games. And we've seen that. And unfortunately, we've seen that quite a bit recently. And obviously, he's a number 10 mainly. So, you know, these days, we're playing with a number 10. You need them to come back without the ball and help out your centre midfielders. And we've really missed that recently because he hasn't come back. And it's that kind of that work rate and desire in the middle of the park that we've missed from him that seems to have caused us a few problems because we've been too easy to play through, and even Doug. There's that frustration, but at the same time there is that quality. So I suppose it kind of goes to it's almost like having a luxury player. You know, people have said in the past about Jack Grealish being a luxury player. Jack Grealish works hard, one of the hardest workers on a team. He gets up and down. He's involved in everything. Ross Barkley could be seen as a luxury player because there are flaws to his game, which we're seeing more of now. But then at the same time, he's got that quality where he could pop up with, he did it against Southampton a few weeks back. He popped up with the winner in that game, popped up with the winner against Leicester. So there is that potential there. I think it's going to come down. I think I can just see that, you know, within a few years' time, wherever he may end up, that you'll look at it and you think, you know, Ross Barkley, what a good player he could have been.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen glimpses, and I just think sometimes it comes down to that attitude in terms of his application on the pitch, but also as well, I think now to be a top player, it's a lot more mental as well as obviously having the skill set and the physicality and stuff like that. I think players need to know, you know, when to do flicks and tricks and when to hold onto the ball and when to things like that. So I think he lacks that slightly, but he's still a quality player. But it's that massive frustration that I think has been of detriment to our midfield so far this season.
And a player that we Well, our fans were screaming for us to go out and buy in the summer, and you got him, but obviously the Dean Smith link helped with that. Ollie Watkins, good signing for you by the look of it.
Fantastic. I don't think any Villa fan will argue that he's been, possibly one of our best strikers of the last, 5-10 years. He's got 10 league goals this season, 12 overall. He's the first Villa player, first Villa striker to have got double figures since Gabriel Bonlahor in the 09-10 season. So, 10 years ago. What's good about him is that I think I said when I provided the written answers for the website, he's become almost as kind of vital as Jack Grealish, because a lot of our good play this season, and the reason why we've gone from being nearly relegated to, touching distance of the top six, is because Ollie Watkins sets, he kind of sets us up perfectly, and it's that going back to, defending from the front. He defends from the front so well because he presses the back three, back four, back five so much, and it doesn't give him chance to have that time on the ball. And obviously he's finishing, his goal scoring has just been fantastic. So as a signing, he's been brilliant, and he's certainly been one of the best strikers that we've had of recent times. Obviously we've been in the Championship and stuff like that, but he does everything we need to.
Yeah, I think he was one we missed out on. Not that I don't think, as I say, with the Dean Smith link, I don't think we would have got him anyway. But he was certainly one that we need a replacement for an aging Vardy, and he was one that everybody was saying we should have gone for. But whether we would have got him is another matter.
If you think of Vardy, you think, there's been a number of times, obviously you would have seen more than me, when balls have been, long balls have gone forward, and, Vardy's kind of made something out of nothing. The ball's gone down the channel and it's going nowhere. It might even be going out of play, and Vardy's got there and he's used his pace to get there, and he's brought others into the game. Ollie Watkins is very similar to that. He's done that so many times. I think last week against Brighton, obviously nothing came of it, but there was a long ball that went forward, and one of their defenders was just kind of shepherding it out of play, and Watkins got there, and he got a toe on the end of the ball, and he managed to knock it off the defender and win a corner. And it's just literally something out of nothing, and sometimes that can be massive.
Yeah, I'm going to end now before we have a look at a score prediction, and I know you're tight for time, so I'll keep it very brief. But this is, for me personally, one of the moments of football over the years when you look at it and you go, did I just see what I saw? Now, I'm putting this in the same bracket, and you probably won't remember this, but when Leicester played Nottingham Forest, it was in a cup game, and one of our players collapsed at half-time, and Forest were 1-0 up at the time. They very kindly cancelled the game, and we went to a replay, and we let them score from the kickoff. So it was one of those. Now, I guess you can probably guess what I'm alluding to here, but that match against Leeds when you were in the Championship. Yeah. Were you there?
No. I remember watching it, though. I didn't go to Ellen Road. I remember watching it on TV. Yeah, it was an odd one because, you don't often see that, you're very unlikely to, it doesn't happen often where you see it, where it's your team that's involved. So yeah, it was certainly an odd one that Leeds and Villa fans love to argue about it on social media, but what happened, and we got a point in the end, which was nice.
Yeah. It will always be remembered as a great moment, and I think justice was done. To be honest with you, if Villa, Stefan asks here, if Villa was going to be super with the games coming up, do you think next year we will play better than this year? Not quite sure what he's getting at there, but
yeah, I'm not sure either.
No, not sure what you mean there, Stefan. Sorry, but I think basically looking at Villa, I mean, it's all about progression. You stayed up, and then it's on about consolidating this year, and then next year, if you carry on this and you've got a great manager, there's no reason why you're not going to be challenging for a Europa League place next season.
Yeah, I think Jack Grealish said it himself. He said, obviously, we're doing quite well this season, but he expected us to maybe be around 10th or 12th, and we could well finish there. You know, we could still finish below that, but obviously we're doing quite well at the moment, so it's nice surprise. I think that probably was the plan. We stayed up. Then you look at, as you say, consolidation. Then you look at to go on. We did that in the Championship. In all fairness, there was Dean Smith came in, and you thought, okay, well, Dean Smith consolidate us in the league, give something to build on, and then look at promotion next year. And Dean Smith came in. We went on that unbelievable 10-game winning run. You know, take us into the last stages of the season. We were in the playoffs when we were. I think we were. In February, we were 13th in the league, and we were miles off the playoffs. And we got into it, and it was kind of ahead of schedule. So I think that's possibly why last season. What happened was because last season we bought so many new players to kind of cover players that we released on free because their contracts ended. We were ahead of schedule, and it's the same this season. We could potentially be ahead of it, but at least we've got that. Maybe no added pressure because, as you say, consolidation is the kind of that's going to be the goal. Yeah.
Quick score prediction from you. We do a thing on the website again where we get ex-players and myself predict scores. Steve Walsh and Ian Marshall have both gone 2-1 to us. I've gone 2-0. I feel confident. We owe you revenge. That's what it is. Steve Lynex, being a Brummie himself, although he did play for your great rivals Birmingham, but having the Brummie accent, I think he's sat on the fence there, gone 1-1. We've got to get revenge on you. I'm sorry, it's about time. We owe you this one now. But what are you going to go for?
I said earlier, I think it's going to be still a tight game as it was last time, so I could see it going 1-0 either way. But I'm going to have to go with 1-0 to Villa.
And I would expect nothing less of you, sir. Thanks very much for coming on.
No problem.
Appreciate that. Give your social media a quick shout out. Where can people find you?
So I'm at Chris Ellis 250 on Twitter. I'm also at Chris Ellis 250 on Instagram, but that's mainly kind of my personal stuff. But people can get in touch with me on that. I still do, I suppose, run the Villa Together podcast. Which are at Villa Together on Twitter and Instagram, but we've kind of stopped podcasting, etc. From that channel at the moment. Whether we come back or not, I'm not sure. I've also joined the Rivalry Aside podcast. So if you search them on Twitter and YouTube and Instagram, they're on TikTok as well. Rivalry Aside TV. They do a lot of stuff for different clubs. Just a kind of platform to look at. Debates on different clubs and also get other fans' perspective on things and not just the same fans. So I'm doing stuff with Rivalry Side TV at the moment, which is quite exciting.
Good. Well, hopefully, mate, your Villa podcast will come back. Villa Together. We hope that will work out for you, but understand the reasons. I'd say good luck for Sunday, but I won't mean it. But after that,
the same.
After that, have a good season, mate. I don't think you're going to go down. I think there's 3 teams that we all know who are going to be going down this season. But thanks so much for coming on. And like I say, after Sunday, good luck, mate.
Nice one, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Stay safe, mate.
You too. Nice one.
Cheers. Bye-bye. Well, thanks very much to Chris there. One Chris to another. He's got to be fine with a name like that, hasn't he? 2:05 kickoff. It's been put back 5 minutes. I saw this big splash come up on the news. Leicester game put back. And I'm thinking, like, again? But apparently it's 5 minutes for broadcasting reasons. I think that's because they're going to need sort of 60 minutes to talk about other teams. Should we just say that? Other teams. Who else is playing? Oh, Tottenham are playing. Man City are playing. Arsenal are playing. Man United are playing. Maybe that's why they want to put us back 5 minutes so they can give us 5 minutes chat before we kick off. Did I say that out loud? Sunday we'll be back. I'm off tomorrow. Sunday we'll be back 1:15 with the pre-match show. So look forward to that. And then the match kicks off, like I say, 2:05 on Sky. If you have that platform, lcfc.com, you can listen to it totally free of charge, even if you're not in Leicestershire. And then 4:30 it'll be the post-match show with Brad and, of course, ex-Fox Julian Watts. Guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Thanks to Chris again. It's going to be revenge. It's got to be, even though Stefan here says Villa 4, Leicester 0. We'll see, Stefan. Come on the post-match show afterwards and see if you get that right. And if you were right, guess what? I'm not putting it up. Whether you're a Villa fan, whether you're a Leicester fan, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I will see you, like I say, about 1:15 pre-match on Sunday. Take care, stay safe, everybody, and goodbye till then.
Leicester Till I Die podcasts on the Apple iTunes, Spotify, Google, Anchor, and all podcast platforms.
Thanks for watching Leicester Till I Die. This is Chris saying goodbye and see you next time.